Alright, so today what we're going to be working on is 1.5, create and read two-way tables. We're going to start with reading the two-way tables and then we'll work our way into creating them as well. So our essential question for the day is, how do you fill in all the values in a two-way table? So two-way tables are a visual representation of possible relationships between multiple sets of data. To start with, we have our categories. Categories are labeled at the top and the left side of the table. So you'll have category 1 and category 2. Okay, you will always need labels on your tables. Next thing is the frequency or count in the middle cells of the table. So what we're saying is these cells in here will always contain our data points, okay, or the number of things that we've counted. And lastly, the totals will appear at the bottom and the right sides of the table. So the bottom row and the right column will be our totals. And if you want to write on both sides, that's fine. Alright, so if we jump right into some examples here, a survey asks if you could have a new vehicle. Would you want a sport utility vehicle or a sports car? So they give us a nice two-way table. You see that our categories are male and female, and our sport utility vehicle and sports car are the other categories. Also, they have our totals listed and all of our data points on the inside. So the first question is, how many males were surveyed? We want to figure out how many males were surveyed. All we have to do is just look at our male row. But we are asking for the total of males surveyed. So simply, the first one's going to be 60. Next, how many females like SUVs? So we look to our female section, but we're also going to be looking simply for the SUV section. So it helps draw lines, see where they intersect. We'll see that 135 females like SUVs. And last example on this page, how many males like sports cars? So if we want to find how many males like sports cars, once again, we look at our male category, we look at our sports car category, and we go ahead and check out where these two intersect. So at this point, we know that 39 males like sports cars. Next example. Looks like we have our two categories of liking skateboards and not liking skateboards, as well as liking snowmobiles and do not like snowmobiles. So if we're going to read the data from this table, first question says, how many students like skateboards? All we're looking for is the number that likes skateboards. If you're only circling one category, you're going to be looking towards the bottom of the total, okay? So our total is 125 students like skateboards. Next, how many do not like snowmobiles? So we're looking at this category of do not like snowmobiles. We're not looking for an intersection of anything. So we're just going to go all the way to the end and see that there's a total of 55 students that do not like snowmobiles. And last one, how many total students were interviewed? So it's not saying how many total students like skateboards or don't like skateboards. We're asking total overall. The total overall of people interviewed will always be in the bottom right. Okay? So basically you're looking for the totals of both sides. So we have 160 students that were interviewed for the survey. The two-way table doesn't necessarily mean that we only will have two columns of data, though. we could possibly give people 3 options. So for example, here we have concession stand sales. And you'll see that in our categories, we have the drinks and we have the food, but we have 3 different labels within each category. So we have soda, water, no drink, and then hot dog, pizza, and no food. We can still pull the data the same exact way we do when we only have 2 different columns of data. So, how many bought pizza and soda? We're looking at the number for pizza and soda. We draw our lines, figure out where they intersect. We have 120 people bought pizza and soda. Next, how many bought no food and no drink? So we're looking at no food and no drink. We draw our lines, see where they intersect. We're looking at 10. So there were 10 people that bought no food and no drink. How many bought hot dogs? So they only give us 1 label here to look at. And when we're talking about 1 label, we just go to the end and find the total. So how many people bought hot dogs? Looks like we have a total of 158. All right, what if there's missing information? So we should know by now that the missing information here is the totals. It's easy to fill in missing information. So if we have the missing totals, all we have to do is add up the columns and rows so that way we can finish filling in our table. So if I first want to look at the math average being greater than or equal to 90, I add up 70 plus 15, that'll give us 85. And if I want to look at math average not greater than or equal to 90, I take my 10 plus 50, and I'll get 60. Alright, now when we add up the columns, if we want to see how many speak a foreign language, we add up the 70 and the 10, and we get 80. And how many do not speak a foreign language, we add up 15 and 50, and we get 65. Okay? Now the way to kind of double check your work is that when you do the overall total, when we add 80 plus 65, you should end up getting 145. That should also be the total for 85 plus 60. If those numbers don't match up, you made a mistake somewhere along the lines. So it's a good way to double check what you've written down. Now we can go ahead and answer our questions since we have the complete 2-way table. So how many students have a math average greater than or equal to 90 and speak a foreign language? So math average greater than or equal to 90 and speak a foreign language. We draw our lines. You should have 70. Next, how many students have a high math average? So all they're asking is about the math average. We're going to say that the greater than or equal to 90 is our high math average. We draw our line all the way over. We have 85 total students with a high math average. And lastly, how many students were surveyed? If they're just asking how many students were surveyed, the total number of people surveyed should be found in our bottom right corner. Right? So we're looking at the totals and find where they intersect, and you should have 145. Okay, once again, what is missing? The only thing missing from this one, we have all of our categories filled in for what your favorite sport to watch on television is. We have males and females, football, basketball, baseball. We have a total down here, but we once again missed our total over here. So if we want to fill in these spots, we just got to go ahead and add up the numbers that they give us. So if I add 40 plus 22 plus 15, I should get 77. Then if I take 12 plus 16 plus 45, I should get 73. And if I take 77 plus 73, I should end up with a grand total of 150. Now the way to double check that is if you take 52 plus 38 plus 60, you should also end up with 150, which you do. So we're good to go. We filled out the table. Now it asks us how many males like football. We're just looking for males and football. Find where they intersect. We're at 40. How many females like baseball? So females, baseball, find where they intersect. And we have 45. And lastly, how many people like football or baseball? Now, this question says or. That's the important part here. So we're looking for the total of football or baseball. We draw our lines down. We have a total of 52 that like football, a total of 60 that like baseball. So to find how many like either or, all we have to do is add those two numbers together. So we have 52 plus 60 gives us 112. So you should have 112 people that like football or baseball. All right, next objective we will look at in the next video.